This is the 10% Happier Podcast. I'm Dan Harris. Hello, everybody. How we doing? Today, I'm talking to a great meditation teacher named Bart van Melik. We're going to talk about a host of fascinating issues. How to get out of your head and into your body, whether it's okay from a Buddhist standpoint to connect with other people through complaining or bullshitting, how to introduce meditation to your children, the immense power of practicing meditation with other people, and we talk about Bart's tagline, which is, keep calmly knowing change. He'll explain that. What you're about to hear is a live conversation that Bart and I recorded during one of our weekly live sessions for subscribers to the 10% with Dan Harris meditation app. Bart started us off with a guided meditation. You won't hear this because we clipped it out so we can get right to the Q&A, but this session began with Bart guiding us in a meditation. The theme of the meditation was keep calmly knowing change, but we talk a little bit about what that phrase means during the conversation. Before we get to the conversation, just quickly want to plug the app. If you sign up, you can come to our weekly live sessions where we meditate and then chop it up together. We also have a growing body of guided meditations from some of the best teachers on the planet. Plus, we have community features that allow you to connect with me and our teachers and my team and one another, so this meditation thing can be less lonely. Sign up at danharris.com. There's a free 14-day trial if you want to check it out before you spend any money. One last thing to say, though, before we dive in. Starting in March, we're going to go back to our regular cadence of episode drops. So we'll be dropping new episodes only on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You may have noticed that we've been dropping some episodes on Sundays recently, but that era is coming to a close. We're going back to 3 a week, which will, I think, be saner for everyone. Okay, coming up after this, my conversation with Bart van Melik. The best B2B marketing often gets wasted on the wrong people. I can't tell you how often I'm scrolling and I get served ads for stuff I have no interest in. So when you want to reach the right professionals, use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has grown to a network of over 1 billion professionals, including 130 million decision makers. And that's where it stands apart from other ad buys. You can target your buyers by job title, industry, company role, seniority, skills, company revenue, so you can stop wasting budget on the wrong audience. It's why LinkedIn ads generates the highest B2B return on ad spend of all major ad networks. Seriously, all of them. Spend $250 on your first campaign on LinkedIn ads and get a $250 credit for the next one. Just go to linkedin.com/happier. That's linkedin.com/happier. Terms and conditions apply. Let me ask you what may be an obvious question. What is the value of calmly knowing change?
If we can attune to the flow of things, even just for a moment, we start to realize that clinging or holding on to things make no sense. I think that's why it's so soothing for some people to look at water flowing or really enjoying the flow of music, because it really brings us into the present moment. And this practice invites you to not just be aware of what's going on, but how is it changing? And I actually got it from this modern day scholar and monk, the Venerable Analayo. And full disclosure here, the reason I got it was in our teacher training, we had to read his whole dissertation, his PhD, on the Buddhist teachings on mindfulness. But I remember from university in the Netherlands that PhDs always have a conclusion. So I went there and then he said, it goes something like this. I'm paraphrasing. If I had to sum up all of the Buddhist teachings on mindfulness in 4 words, I would go, keep calmly knowing change. Keep has that sense of the continuity and keep remembering to be mindful. Calmly is that kind, receptive attitude. The knowing is being aware. And change is just that truth of life, that flow that's constantly happening even right now. And then It said that the Buddha taught, I think, 84,000 lessons. And then on his deathbed, he asked some of the people who were helping him out, like, is everything clear? They said, yes, Venerable Sir. And then he passed away by saying, all things in the material and mental world come and go. Keep practicing wholeheartedly. So even there, he was pointing to knowing change because it brings peace.
It brings peace, even though it is terrifying on some level.
It is. Especially when sometimes impermanence is really hard. Or the fact that we feel like we're not having control. A couple of years ago was the first time I actually mourned. One of my best friends died. And that powerful change, it really takes a while to be with it. But this practice is really pointing to change happening moment to moment. And attuning to that is really freeing.
I'm reaching for my phone, which I am not doing to check Instagram. I'm doing because this is where I have all the questions that were pre-submitted from the audience. But let's see if we can hit a few questions.
Sure.
This one's from GW. Really enjoying listening to Bart's discussion from his most recent podcast. And this is back to the 2021 episode that you and I recorded together, Bart, on relational dharma.
Yeah.
GW says, I have a 10-month-old who's been a great motivator to increase my meditation and mindfulness practice. Does Bart have any tips about introducing meditation to children when they're a bit older, gently, or any resources to point me in the right direction?
JW, right? It's so cool that you have a 10-month-old. I have an 11-year-old, and I already read that question. You know what I did? Last night I asked Lou, my 11-year-old, how would you answer this question? You know what Lou said, JW? He said, every person is different. Not everyone is into meditation. Not every child is into meditation too. I would start by saying that. So I want to just pass on Lou's wisdom here, JW. But, one thing I did when Lou was small was to use his belly as my object of meditation. And you know what's really cool about Buddhist teachings? And that was in that dissertation by Analio, was you're not just invited to practice to be mindful internally about your mind states, kind of what we did in the guided meditation today. It's also about being mindful externally. Even with the breath, the Buddha said that. So what I did when he was about that age, after he would be in bed, and he usually started on his belly, especially in the summer, not a lot of blankies, or he was wearing that thing here, I can't recall what that's called in English. And then I would just start noticing his belly rise and fall. So I became aware of the breath externally. That became my anchor. And there, that too, you could see it coming and going. And as a matter of fact, what I really appreciate about the Buddhist teaching is that it not only points to being aware of your internal surroundings or what's going on externally, it's also about being aware of the relational field that you're co-creating. That Dan and I, and we're all creating, all 317 of us live right now. And even with the breath, the Buddha said that. And I remember thinking, how am I going to practice that? So on the number 3 line in New York, I would be squeezed in. I could feel my body breathe. But all of a sudden, I felt body squeezed next to me, breathing as well. Oh, that's mindfulness of the breath, both internal and external. And the reason I'm saying it is because I think the most important thing in terms of being with kids and taking this practice, bringing life into your practice, it's really about being aware externally and both how you are impacting and together impacting one another. That's way more important than teaching your kids some techniques because, as Lou said, not all kids are receptive. And a lot of kids that I taught have a conception of meditation being cross-legged and they would all go, And so just to teach them that there's other ways that you can be mindful is really helpful. So what Lou and I are doing, his New Year's resolution was running more outside. And then we'll do that mindfully because we both enjoy it.
Mm.
So when your kid grows older, I would suggest to do activities that you both really enjoy and then talk about what it's like to be really in the moment and then ask questions like, how do you feel afterwards? So that's how I've been playing, but gentle bringing meditation into Lou's life, because the last thing that I would want to do is to give him a sense of, oh, meditation is difficult or it's boring or I have to sit still, because I don't think that's what meditation is about.
That was a great answer. Here's a question from Jamie. I've noticed that one way I tend to connect with others is through venting or complaining. Lately, though, I've become more aware of it and how it might portray me as more negative, even though I feel like I'm generally a pretty happy human. The things I complain about don't usually upset me deeply or even remotely. I think I'm more interested in generating a good conversation, relating to others, and lightening the mood with some dry humor. That makes me wonder whether this is just how I connect, a personality trait, or if it's insecurity showing up in disguise. Is it harmless or something worth looking at more closely?
Oh, that's a full question. I would definitely look closely into it. The answer about harmless is where you're coming from. And I think humor, especially in these times, is so helpful. I've been consuming so much stand-up comedy, you have no idea. I love your episode. I was there, by the way, live when you interviewed Pete Holmes.
Mm.
I think we need humor, especially in these challenging times. So I would see where you're coming from. I think that's what's really important with this. But also just to know, like, how you say this. Is it something you often do? Has it become like a pattern? Maybe you could also just pause when you catch it and go like, why am I doing this? And just see what happens. Could be a pause for a reflection. Jamie, right? I think we can use more humor right now and lightness. But I would again also be mindful externally and just notice how what you're saying is landing for the other person. And you can read that quite easily, I think. So that could be something to play with next time when you do this, Jamie. Just really become aware of the nonverbal cues you're getting from the person you're doing this particular pattern with, and just see. But also maybe play sometimes with not doing it. You feel the urge and you go, no, let's not do this.
Mm.
And maybe actually wait for the other person to say something. So yeah, I would definitely look into that. That would be my suggestion.
I agree with your suggestion. And just the one thing I'll add is our mutual teacher, Joseph Goldstein, likes to talk about this ancient Buddhist or Pali. Pali is the language in which the Buddhist teachings were written down. And in Pali, there's a word, Samphappalāpa, which it means exactly what it sounds like, which is useless speech. Joseph's argument is that if you check out, the next time you have the urge to say something that, doesn't really matter, often the urge is, look at me. So I'm not like totally against Samphappalāpa, and sometimes it is a good way to foster connection, especially if it's harmless gossip or a dry joke, or just like I keep up a nonstop patter of
Right.
nonsense with my wife and son all day long. I could probably turn down the volume on that, but I do think it has some utility, but checking it out
Yeah.
can yield some interesting data.
Yeah, I agree.
I do, as stated earlier, need to close a little bit early today. However, I do want to close, or actually you, Bart, want to close with a dedication, and I want to leave space for that.
Okay. So we have like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, please.
All right. So the first thing I want to invite you into is to just come home to the body again. And also, especially when you're interacting with people, like JW with her 10-year-old, or Jamie with the Samphappalāpa going on sometimes, which we all do. I'm part of that team as well. It's really helpful to stay connected to the body. And so from time to time, just to come home to, oh yeah, I have this embodied experience that I can feel. And then maybe taking a moment to appreciate the fact that you are here in community. The reason I'm on this path still is because of community. I would have definitely stopped meditating. Maybe appreciating the fact that you have shown up right now. It's a really helpful practice to recollect the good that you do. May our time together be a cause and condition for inner and for outer peace. And just see what it's like to be mindful just for a few more moments. And check if it's more oriented internally, or maybe it's externally, or both. Knowing you can always come home to this body, and coming home to awareness. Because the awareness will protect you. And finally, I love to close by saying 3 times, may there be peace. May there be peace. May there be peace. It was a pleasure being here. Take good care.
Thanks again to Bart. Thanks to you for hanging out with us. Don't forget to check out my new app. It's called 10% with Dan Harris. You can get it at danharris.com or wherever you get your apps. There's a free 14-day trial. I really love this app. I would love to have you as part of it. If you can't afford it, don't worry about it. You can just send us a note and we will hook you up. Last thing to say here, thank you so much to everybody who works so hard on this show. Our producers are Tara Anderson and Eleanor Vasili. Our recording and engineering is handled by the great folks over at Pod People. Lauren Smith is our managing producer. Marissa Schneiderman is our senior producer. DJ Kashmir is our executive producer. And Nick Thorburn of the band Islands wrote our theme.